Um, Thank you so much and welcome everyone. I really appreciate everyone coming out tonight to hear me talk about my book, Finding Susan from Tourza to Detroit. For me, my name is Jim Nehmettallah. I'm 64 years old. Is that right? Yeah, I'm 64 years old. And I've been in the workplace since I was 10. So I've been working all my life. Even though the beginning was helping my brother out in construction, um, I basically am a retired teacher now. And prior to that, I worked in construction, engineering, and architecture. So here I'm talking to you about what I've done for the past 15, 20 years. And I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm probably going to be doing it for the next little while. And if God gives me grace, I'll be here for another 100 years. No, that's a little long. But hey, what the heck? We'll see how this goes. Okay, so I'm a husband of 41 years. She put up with me for 41 years, a father of 4, and a grandfather of 2, one of which is in the galley here, and counting, hopefully. So, we need to spread the family tree and go from there. I was born in Tourza in 1961. I'm the 4th child of 8. My father left Lebanon first. He came here to Leamington, and he settled, got a place ready for us, worked at like 4 or 5 jobs, and he got everything ready for us. We followed him 2 years later, and that's where we're here. And then here is our little village on the side of a mountain in Lebanon. And that village is really small. The yellow circle shows where I was born. And I believe in the next one, you'll see where I was born in the house that I was born, the one in the middle. And then the one on the right is where I lived in Leamington from when we came here. That's a picture of our passport photo. I'm the little dude on the left. The next picture is my dad, who's third from the right. And you can see the traditional dress wear that they have, the shirwel and all that stuff. So in those 2 years that my dad was here, he prepared a new life for our family, one that looked very different than what we had in Lebanon. This was a common story, I'm sure, about everyone that came in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Yes? Canada. Oh, no. Yeah, we came to Montreal, flew into Montreal. Yes. And but a lot of my relatives, as you'll see later, came to Detroit, to New York, to Mexico, and a few other places. So let's move on. How this book came to be. In 2005, my youngest son had a project from school. He had to make a family tree of his family. Of course, wow, I know about my family. I can help you. So I did the best I could, to my knowledge, and up to my grandparents is how much I knew of my family. But I didn't really have a clear understanding of anything beyond that. So I decided to go to the source and spend an afternoon with my mom. And I sat down and I talked to her, and she would tell stories because she'd always tell stories. And every time I sit with her, I'd hear the same story over and over and over again. But I never really understood. I just gave her the nod and yes, Mom, I'm listening. And I wish I listened more. She's no longer with us, so she died a year ago. She passed a year ago. And there's my beautiful mother. So these were stories I heard all my life, but had never really questioned or continued the conversation with it. And talking about my grandparents and great-grandparents, my mom seemed to have the least information about her grandmother, Susan. So Susan was kind of like a mystery to everybody. Nobody wanted to talk about her. Nobody knew what went on with her. She just got up and left in 1910. And what happened is she had a very terrible life. She had 4 children. She got married when she was very young, like 9, 10, around that age. And so it was difficult, in a patriarchal family. She had a difficult life. So during that time, there was famine, there was no food, there was no work. The army took over, the Ottoman Empire took over, and She decided or went with the other ladies up, over, and across the mountains to forage for food in the fields that had already been tilled. Oh, they took away all the wheat. Well, wait a minute. I got a little bit of wheat here. I got another one here. I'll put it in my bag and bring it back to my family. So that's how difficult it was. She put in letters to her family that was in Detroit at the time in 1910 that she was having a hard time. They came to visit. They wanted to have her, give us a tour of this place. And they didn't tell her what they were doing, but they just took her to the port and put her on a boat. Didn't have time to pack. Let's go. We're going to America. So where'd they go? They went to Detroit. Well, they went to Wheeling, West Virginia, but then after that, they went to Detroit. I found out later that she was working on a cement factory, and my mom wanted me to find out all about her when I was doing this research. So I basically wanted to see where she worked and what she did. Did she have a family? And all that was negative. She did work. She lived right behind the church, and a street over was another person that lived there as well. And that's where I got most of my information from. Her name was Irene Consiglio, and she was one of my cousins. She just died last year at 103. So I was so amazed with that lady. Well, let's move on. And this is what the story or the book is all about, Susan. So in case you're wondering, my son did finish his assignment and was happy with it, but I wanted to go on and he didn't. I, on the other hand, wanted to know more, so I embarked on a quest to discover my ancestors. I started with my father and then moved to other relatives in Leamington and Windsor. I started mapping information out on paper, and it was paper everywhere. So I was putting all my information down. As I'm sure many of you are aware, we have an extremely extended family. Like, they're huge, and I wanted to see how far back I can go. At the time, my main motivation was documenting the history for my children, and that's what I wanted to do it for. So that was my joy in doing it for them, because I knew I wasn't going to be around forever. The more I talked to people, it seemed like a real extension into Detroit and into the States. It started with a phone number, a couple of leads that I reached out to, and then phone, email, back and forth. Although people were hesitant to give me information that way, this was understandable. And I knew that I needed to go visit people. I could have done it through Facebook, but Facebook at that time in 2005, 6, 7, really wasn't, not everybody was on it. This was understandable, of course. So Facebook and video chat were not really for the older crowd that I wanted to talk to. There's no sense talking to the young kids because, they don't know much about their families, and they're waiting for me to write a book to find out about them. So I made house visits, which gave me other leads on other family members, and things ballooned from there. As I was still working full-time and had family responsibilities, I couldn't physically take my research outside of the Detroit-Windsor area. So I continued my phone and email quest to people outside of Detroit, and from that point on, then Facebook came along, and the younger crowd came, and they showed their parents how to use it. And then I started talking back and forth to many more people all over the world. As the family tree grew, I uploaded and linked it to Ancestry.ca. Through them, I did my DNA for myself and for my parents so that I can see who else is connected with me and with my parents, the two of them. But I soon found out that everybody was related to everybody else. This opened up a whole new world where I found relatives all over the world. And then going web-based changed everything for me because I don't have to have everything on paper anymore. It's now in a computer. I can search for whoever I need to. I got everything in there. I know how to work with the computer, so it worked out for me. And the living rooms, the visits, and the phone calls and the emails all went back to the virtual living room where I would be in their house on a video chat. And that worked out well. But I prefer the personal connection more than the video. So I started to collect artifacts to support the information I was gathering. Fast forward 5 years, and I was at a stalemate. With information gathering that I can get through all these sources from this area, that's all I could do, and especially through the internet. But what was missing was the information from back home, where we came. So I needed to make a visit. So in 2010, I got up, asked my daughter if she wanted to come along with me because she's the oldest one, and I wanted to give her a chance to go see Lebanon. I went there and searched for these records at the churches and from relatives in preparation for this visit and to show exactly what I was doing and why I needed the information for these people. So in preparation, I printed out the family tree for 2 of the families that I've been collecting. Now, keep in mind that there's 5 major families from Tourza, but I printed out a chart that was 3 feet high by 200 feet long, and I took it with me to Lebanon. And that allowed me to put it in the church hall. And then after church, I invited everyone to come and see it. The priest came as well, and he understood now why I was doing this. And he gave it some kind of legitimacy that, oh, you want records from back then. You don't want records from today. No, I already know the people today. I want the records from 1850 to 1950. Because in 1750s, when Tourza started, with only a few people and a very small farming community, but by 1850, the place was full of the 5 families that have started there. So after that, the priest sat down with me, gave me some of the records that he allowed me to take pictures of, and then I brought it back. I showed it to some people. Jim, this isn't Arabic. It's not English, of course, but it's not Arabic. Well, what is it? I think it's Syriac. Oh, my cousin Hanna, he used to be with the priests. He knows how to read Syriac. He took all the documents for me, one by one. As he was translating it to English, I would be typing it out in my database, and that gave me a database that was a mile long from 1850. But I had records before that, because when we saw an entry, it would say the full name of the person. So for example, for confirmations, at this time, on this date, by this bishop, these people were confirmed, and there would have been like a couple hundred of them, and then they would list them all off. John, George, Jacob, Abraham, John. And that's that person's name. So now I knew who the person was, who their father was, who their grandfather was, and so on. So that was tremendously helpful to me in trying to put all this together. I enlisted the help of the relatives locally in Lebanon, and they knew the language, so it was easy for them to do it. I then had about 25,000 people collected at that point from all of those records, and that's amazing. So moving on, what an incredible diaspora from a small village. In a country roughly of 5 million people today, Lebanese people, specifically those from Tourza, can be found all over the world. And I went looking for them. So please know, even the shortest conversations from everyone I've come across contributed to my work, and it's all in the computer. I extend my travels to California and West Virginia, where I could meet new relatives and visit their local churches. And at this point in my research, I was virtually meeting people all over the world, the United States, Australia, South America, South Africa, and Europe. So one more trip to Lebanon in 2014 did it for me. I finally felt that my tree was complete for the entire village and its diaspora. Pardon? Sorry.
Can you explain some of the photos?
Yes, and I can barely see them. Of course, you have to visit all the cemeteries because that's where all the dead people are. And you take a picture of theirs sometime. I'm positive they're not going anywhere. But they do have, most of them have a picture of the person, which nobody else had and I couldn't get. It would have all the information I need, birth, death, and family members. I've got prayer cards. I've got pictures of people that I had, and I got a ton of these pictures that basically showed me life back then and what people were doing. And the pictures kind of captured that moment with these people. As well, I've got some other photographs of family, and everyone decided to take a photograph when they either came here or for a special event. And when the camera was invented in the late 1800s, that gave me a lot of pictures that I could use, and I just took over from there. As you can see in my book, there's a lot of people that are the ancestors. Most of them have pictures. Not all of them, but most of them. Since then, I've had more pictures. And since then, I've taken all of those black and white photos and changed them to color and enhanced them. And it's just a beautiful thing to see and have. And the other pictures, I believe a funeral in Lebanon somewhere. I couldn't tell you where because it's too small on my screen, but I do have all the details. Okay, moving on. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a few individuals that have helped me to complete these trees and that supported my work. So for example, John Obeid, he had already a tree of the Obeid family, but it was a patriarchal tree. All of the males were there, the females were nowhere to be seen. I wanted a more complete picture, so I moved on with that. Another person that helped me is Joseph Hanna in Detroit. He had a complete picture, but it was all in scribbles on a piece of paper that was this big, connected to another paper that was this big. And he got it from one of the members of the Rahab family, or Ruhab, as they say it, but I would say it Rahab. And funny thing, do you know why they call them Rahab? Because Roheb means a robe. And people like priests wear robes. So this gentleman, the patriarch, the one at the very top, walked around wearing a robe all the time. So they call him Roheb, you're a Rahab. So he got the name that way. He's actually a Sad, but he's turned into a Rahab. This is an interesting note. And a few people here that have helped me translating, some here from Windsor, like Elias. He had many days sitting down with me. We enjoyed a lot of conversation with these people. Some in Lebanon, some in Venezuela. Jack Jacob from Detroit. I do have to give them credit because they put up with me and they helped me. And I can't do this all by myself. So over the past 10 years plus of research, I was so fortunate to gather an incredible amount of stories, family traditions, and photos of records and people. This tree had become more than just people's names, dates, and places. It was a story, and it was a story about my life, and which is the same as everyone else that came from that part of the world. And as I mentioned, Irene Consiglio, she would help me by giving me some of these photos from the church in Detroit. They were like large photos of gatherings of the Tourza Club. I have a picture from 1939, one from 43, and Irene would go through and say, I know this person. Oh, I have stories of him. And see this woman here? I have stories of her. This lady was like 95 or 96 at the time, but she was sharp as a tack. And I literally kind of confirmed half of the things that she said, which is great for the research. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to go here and I'm going to scroll down because I married off. My great-grandfather did not treat it. Okay, we talked about my grandmother Susan, so I got ahead of myself there. And I'm just going to move on. Those are records that I found of her. And yes, what happened to her? She died in 1939. And that was it. Nobody celebrated it. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. They didn't even know that she was here.
Was it uncommon for like people to leave like the small villages when the situations happened when people were starving? Like that was it common or uncommon?
That's the exact reason why everybody left. My dad didn't have a job. I mean, he was basically a farmer, worked a little bit here, a little bit there, picked some olives, ground them at a mill, took them to Beirut and Tripoli to sell them. They went up over the mountain, went down to Baalbek to buy wheat and stuff that we couldn't grow. All we could grow there was fruits. And it was difficult, but
I'm not mistaken, was the hope that, say, perhaps your great-grandmother Susan was to come back or to make money for the community? Like, I'm sure there was
and that's the part I forgot to tell you, is that when she was here, she would send back letters with money. But in her situation, my great-grandfather would take the money out of the envelope, give the letters to his children. And he said, this is from your mother. And I said, well, she doesn't know us anymore. What do we need this anymore? We don't even know where she is. She's not around. So they lost track of her, but she took very well care of them through money sent back. And that's like everybody's story kind of coming here. And a lot of people did come here for a short period of time, make some money, and then went back because there was no place to make money down there. You can't support a family. There was no vegetation. There was a locust that took over everything. There was the army that came in and took all the food. They took the young men to fight, but they also took all the food. So it was really heartbreaking. I mean, and what we are doing. So I decided to make a hardcover book out of this story. Oh, you can't see it? Question? Yes, I'm sorry.
So when everyone was dying, like 20 people a day, like what was that from? Like famine or war? You mentioned those
Famine.
or
The war, the First World War was coming.
oh,
It wasn't there yet, but the Turkish army was fighting the Christians and everything was going on in that area. But we also had a blockade, so people couldn't come in from the boats. And the army was basically down in the valleys, but they couldn't go up in the mountains with their horses. And here's another story. Our priest that was in our village, when the Turkish army was coming, and they come on horses. So he said to everybody in the village, hide in the fields because the grass was tall. And when the army comes, all I want you to do is light the grass. And what happened is you'd have like flames and smoke, and these horses would get scared and run away. And then so would the soldiers. So they never came back. They really didn't want to be in a situation like that without their horses.
so the First World War affected Lebanon too.
Yes, it touched every place in the world because the Turkish army was part of the war. So they had to, after they were done with us, they would go to fight somewhere else in the First World War. So this is before the First World War. There was famine. So there was no food because there was no vegetation because the locust ate it all at that time.
No medical.
And no what? Medical, exactly. Nobody was taken care of. I mean, you were left on your own. So by the time the book was published, I had 415 pages, 38,000 people, a lot about the history, the culture, and the story of one woman and her journey to from Tourza to Detroit, which is my great-grandmother. So arriving with the books, as you can see there, coming to the garage, and they're all coming there. The next day, COVID came. So I couldn't go out and I couldn't participate in things like this and talk to everybody and visit Detroit. That was even shut down. I couldn't go there where most of my family was and all the people I talked to. So it was difficult. So I needed to spread the news another way. And I did that through Facebook. And I put an online store. So COVID brought unique challenges in marketing the book. Once again, I relied on the internet and I was able to get the word out about the book and set up an online store. Okay, so here's another story. I got my books, I send them out, I'm so excited, everybody gets them. I get a call from my cousin. Jim, yes? I can't find my picture in the book. You said that you took my picture and you took my family's picture and I don't see them in the book. I said, oh my God, I am so sorry. I can't publish living people's information in a public book that's been offered for sale everywhere. So once you publish a book, you can't have any living info in there. So I said, listen, don't worry. I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to do something for you. And he says, well, what are you going to do? I said, don't worry. I'll be there next week. So what I did is I made a poster for him. Here's one here. I've got 1,000 of these posters and most of them are here. And I made a poster for him. He got it. He looked at it and he says, Jim, this is fantastic. I love it. I'm going to put this up on my wall. First, I got to show my cousin, and my other cousin, and my children, and my grandfather, and my mother. And then from that point on, I was busy making posters. I enjoyed every minute of it because it gave me a chance to connect with people, to see what they look like, to see where they are, to see how they connect with the family. And it just gave me joy. So, and speaking of family, and lastly, this has become so important to me and to the future generations. Many of the people I've met come from families where Lebanese ancestors and relatives began to marry outside of their culture. So by now, it's not just, for example, my son-in-law, who's not Lebanese. So my grandson is 50% Lebanese, 50% Polish, German, something else. And you've got the same thing in your family?
Yeah.
I hear you. So the Lebanese ancestors and relatives began to marry outside the culture. As time went on, the language, the traditions, the connections to Lebanon began to diminish. And this book represents a tangible connection to their history and that they may never know or that they could pass on to their children. I've seen this with my own family, where my children all have found partners from other cultures, other beautiful cultures, and my grandchildren are 50% Lebanese. So I'm doing this for them. I'm doing it for not my children, my grandchildren, but more importantly for my great-grandchildren, which I won't be here to answer those questions. But the book will be here. Poster will be here. They'll be around. They'll have questions. Hey, we've got answers. Okay, so another interesting story. My name is, you might think it's Jim Nehmettallah. It is, because I changed Najib Moses Nehmettallah to Jim Nehmettallah. I thought I was cute. In college, I would be getting, all my friends would be calling me Jim, my professors. I would get checks in the name of Jim. When I worked in the summer, I couldn't cash them. It was a real problem. So because I was known as Jim, I decided to change my name. But that, looking back at it now, and in talking to all these people that I've met, and in being in the culture and being in Lebanon, they tell me what my name is, what it means. Well, Najib means one who brings people together, a good person who brings people together. Maybe I added the good person part, but it is about a person who brings people together. So I just added the one word at the beginning. So please forgive me. And my last name means Nehmettallah. Nehmi means grace or blessing, or, when you get out of the shower, they say Na'iman. So Nehmi. So it means the blessing or grace of God. So Allah means God. Nehmettallah means the generosity or grace of God. So if you want to be in my good graces, what you have to do. So this is really important to me. And I feel privileged to carry these names bestowed on me by my parents and my older generations. And I'm going to take back my name, Najib Musa Nehmettallah. It's my name. I'm not going to formally change it, but I'm going to say it more often. I'm going to say it to my children. I'm going to say it to whoever else wants to listen, because that's my family.
So you're not a Jim anymore. You're Najib now?
Najib Musa Nehmettallah. So Najib Moses Nehmettallah.
Okay, Najib.
Najib. Okay, Shadi.
Okay.
Okay, so what's next, you ask? Well, if my wife had her way, she would say, okay, time to retire. Let's put everything down. Let's go, enjoy life. I said, yeah, we can do that. I've got this one project to do, or I just have this one book to work on. But I'm not going to do it by myself. I have all these people that want to be co-authors with me. So I've done that. There's 5 surrounding villages from where Tourza is. So Tourza is on the side of a mountain. In the valley, there's Wadi Anubin, which is in the Holy Valley, the Kadisha Valley, which is the Holy Valley. There's villages up on the top and on the other side of our mountain. So Sirid, what are they? I didn't write them down, but they're there. Hasrun, Lauza, Mazit al-Nahar, and so on. So these villages I'm working on, but I'm not doing all the work. I've got people that have just as much passion, if not more, than me in finding the routes to their village. So I've gathered them, and I'm even making a trip to Australia in November to sit down for a couple weeks with my beautiful friend Nancy. But I'm going to see one of the co-authors that I've got working with me. This lady has read books back to the 15th century about Lebanon. And she's been feeding me things off and on so I could be able to put it in and add it to the bibliography. It's like amazing of how much rich history is out there. And it's just amazing. And I want to thank these people because they're the ones that are making me continue with the rest of these villages that I wanted to do anyways. Because remember, everybody from our village at the beginning married within each other. So people living around, hanging around in the living room. Dad, I want to get married. I'm going to go to the next town. He says, are you kidding me? We've got work tomorrow in the fields. Go get your cousin from next door and we'll marry her. And then you can get back to work tomorrow. And that's basically what happened because you knew who you were marrying. And that's what happened in pre-1900. Yes. Five major families. See if I can remember them. They're in the book. Each one has had a chapter of their own, like the whole family of Mahfoud, which is the one I come from. That's the major one. The next one is Zachariah, which had the Jacobs, the Boutresses, and all those. So some of the Boutresses in Detroit and the Jacobs in Detroit are from Zachariah. Another one would be the Nuhra or Nora. That would be, but there's two distinct ones. There's Nuhra al-Nadef, and then there's Nuhra Abi-Slaymin. So those two families are the Noras. And then there's, the Solomon family. They're from Bet Hanna. That's where my wife is from. And that's where you're from. So you and her are direct relatives. So at the top of your tree?
Changed his name.
Yes.
Here, they Americanized his name.
Yeah, Solomon.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's Buslaymin, but Buslaymin Abi Hanna. So Hanna is the major name that we, at the very top. I'm sure that Hanna had a dad, and it was probably Slayman or something else.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Jim, his dad Joe, say Najib Joe.
or Najib Yusuf, yeah.
Okay.
So when he came, I have my husband uncle, their brothers. One go by Warden till today, all his family Warden,
Okay.
and the other brother go by Azar. The Warden was the dad. So he put his name on Richard Warden, and still till today, with his great-grandchildren, they all go by Warden. We didn't know we were related till we have something.
And to add to that, they think their last name is Azar, but we found records that go back to Ayuni.
Yes.
And that was recently found by me and my co-author in Australia. So
What was the first name? The very first food?
Mahfoud on my family, on the one branch of the family. And Mahfoud, if you, when you get the book, it'll have a story in there about how it all started. And it was because we were, like that village of Tourza, wasn't a village where people were living in it. It was more of a Muslim lords or higher ups that would take over, and there would be farming communities, and they would have the Christians do the work because they were too busy being the Almighty at the very top, and that's how it worked. And then the church, the patriarch, sent over hundreds and hundreds of people to help fight and resist the people that were doing that. And then what you'll see in the book, it talks about mortgages, and the Christians basically worked their way through to be able to own their land that they had worked on for a lot of years, which really wasn't theirs. It belonged to someone else. And then the patriarch owned most of the land in that area. Yes, Christian?
Sir Jim, you mentioned that you've got family all over the world. Australia, South Africa, Latin America. I'm just curious as to whether you noticed how the same or how different they are integrated within the Spanish lives. Which of the diasporas integrated the quickest maybe, or they perhaps lost their culture?
Oh,
To retain it most. In comparison between the Lebanese and Windsor,
Mhm.
say those that are in
and they're very similar.
so much.
Exactly, and they're very similar. Like in Detroit, when they came over, coming onto the boat in Beirut, they get on the boat, they go to Italy. In Italy, they shed their shirwel and the other things that they wore. And then they had suits that they would put on, and then they would get on a boat coming to New York or any other place, any other port. And that was something where they wanted to immediately assimilate into the culture. Even when they got here, they tried to assimilate, but they couldn't. And then they all wanted a taste of Lebanon and what they left behind. So they had clubs, like Detroit had the Tourza Club. And that was infamous for having a lot of people gather and do their thing. But when they left there, it was like, okay, we're just like you, neighbor. We're just like you. And they wanted to assimilate. Now it's a little different. Now it's very different. But I want to give you one specific point that I've been talking about a lot. My wife's cousin, who we didn't even know existed, my grandfather, or my father-in-law before he died, God rest his soul, told me that he had an aunt that went to Sibed, which is another village, in the late 1800s, and then we never heard from her again. And I found out later that someone on Facebook saw my posts and stuff, said, hey, I see their tree and I see the name Najim, and isn't it like my great-great-grandmother? I said, well, I don't know. Who's your great-great-grandmother? And then we would start talking, and it turned out to be the lady that left at the end of the 1800s, went to Seville, got married. From there, she went directly to South Africa because there was the gold rush, and they wanted people to work in the gold mines. And they did that, and then they stayed in South Africa, and that was it. Fast forward to a couple decade ago, this gentleman emails me from San Diego and tells me about this. And I figured, oh my God, I made a connection. And my father-in-law would love to know about you, but it was a week or two too late. He'd already died. And that just kind of like broke my heart because I loved my father-in-law. He supported everything I did. I'm not just saying that because my wife is here and some members of the family are here, but there was a real person that I connected with. So I really wanted to give him that information. But then when we went to California to visit my daughter, we met this gentleman. He took us out. We saw his family. Well, he didn't have a family. He was single. But he told me about his family in Australia. And oh, well, I didn't know we had that.
What I interesting, the whole, Diaspora and meeting that gentleman, he had the same, we never met, I mean, he's 3 or 4 relatives, right? Like, third relatives, fourth relatives. He has the same mannerisms as my brothers. He laughs like us, and I'm, oh my God. I've never met this person, but you're looking at him and you're looking at his face and think, you could be my brother.
Yeah.
It's so, like, it's trying to see that on other people, right?
Oh, definitely. When I meet people that I meet every day, I can tell when I'm walking down the street, he's Lebanese, she's Lebanese. She's got the same things that she does that I know from my culture. It's a cultural thing. I mean, I'm just overjoyed with it. I'm just so happy. But this is the end of my talk. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them. And when we're done questions, I've got lots of posters that I've done for people and books that people want me to do. And not all of them are Lebanese. I've got this book, for example. The man said, I know him. I already did a family tree for him. And I already did posters for his family. He said, yeah, but my wife, she wants her family. And I said, oh, okay, I can make a poster for her family. He said, no, I want a book. I want to leave for my grandkids. I said, okay. And so I did that. I put it all in a book. And it basically has his and her family separated, but connected. And then on the cover, I put in all the flags of where they all came from. And on every single page has like a part of the family. And if the family got too big, refer to page 36. Go to 36, it continues on. And then I got some pictures of reunions. But this stuff I enjoy doing for people. And he didn't even want to partake in the work that needed to get it done. He got his granddaughter to do the work. And because she liked doing this, and I enjoyed working with her. So that's just an example of one. Of course, the book is here. I don't know if some of you have already seen it. The whole book is full of family trees, and it starts from the top and goes downwards. All of the living people are silhouettes, either you're pink or blue, and everyone else, I have all the information that I've gathered at that time. Of course, there's a little bit more information that could have been added. So every once in a while, I would add it to an addendum, which is a sheet that I have here that goes into every book when I send it out. And of course, since my one cousin made me do a poster for him, I'm doing it for everybody. So I include a sheet like this, which tells people, hey, if you want a poster, I could do one for you. If it's Lebanese, it's great. I've got it all in the book. I've got it all in my tree, in the computer. And I've got pretty well everybody's picture from any source that I could find, public source, or they give me the pictures. And if I don't have them, can you supply them to me? And then it turns out that now I'm doing one poster every couple of days. And it's gotten to the point where I know how to do it. It's easy for me. It's literally taking one poster of somebody and taking that structure and just start changing all the information and pictures and put them in there. Yes.
So, industry.ca is constantly being updated, right?
Yes.
So somebody wanted,
The tree that I have,
yeah,
they can't. I won't let them because I have everybody's information in there. There's only 3 people that are allowed to see my tree, and one's in Lebanon, one's in Australia, and one's in Venezuela. And that's it. Because I made a promise to almost every person that I met that I will not give out your information. No one else will see your personal information or your photo. And even these posters here, I ask that you not take pictures, please. If you'd like a poster of your family, I can whip one out in a couple of days or a week. It depends how many pictures I have and how many more I need from you, which I'll communicate back and forth. But please don't take any pictures. It goes with the promise that I made to protect everyone's. That's why Ancestry, the tree that's on there, I have it there, but I also have it backed up on my computer. So literally I do it on Family Tree Maker and I sync it with Ancestry. And I enjoy working with Family Tree Maker because it's so much easier to fix relationships and to move people from one family to another. It's just so much easier for me on the one that I have here. So how am I doing for time? Oh, I said an hour. Maybe it's a little less than an hour.
55.
Yeah, thank you. You've been keeping track. I like that. Thank you guys so much. If you have any more questions, I'm all ears.
So,
Yes.
sorry, what were you gonna say?
Nothing. I just have so many. If you have any questions, I'm all ears.
So, the books you have here,
Yes.
working on, not main author of, right?
Uh,
You're
the
the co-author of all of
Yeah. Well, I'm the main author, but I have co-authors that are specialists in that village.
Those are, so finding Susan from Tourza to Detroit is about, the families from Tourza. So all the other books are from the family trees from those cities.
Exactly.
Okay.
Those villages.
And so who is the 3 people who have access to everything in Australia, Venezuela, and are they like your how did they become like co-authors? Are they just like family?
Because I have their commitment and they're honorable people and I can see through people
Right.
and I only have 3 that I see through.
So are they like family members of you?
They are. And they're restricted as to what they can do too.
Right, and you never met them before?
Oh, no, I know them. I've visited them. When they were here, I visited them. But we talk a lot by video chat. We talk a lot by WhatsApp through video or through Facebook Messenger video.
But did you know them before you started?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And they're the ones that have been helping me. They're the ones that are the experts. They're the ones that, that have no reason to take that information anywhere else, but they're interested in history. They enjoy doing what they do. You know what I mean? It's a disease. It's a bug and it's a disease. I've met last week I was at Family Tree Maker conference in Chatham, and all these people were from the Ontario Genealogical Society, and I met them all. And a few of them were going to come here today, but, oh, you're one of them. I thought I recognized you from there. But
Here's our secret.
it's a disease.
Look, I volunteer and for the French people, and they have a library there, and we're scanning every single page of all these old documents and old family trees
Yep.
up at Maryville.
Yep.
And every day, every Tuesday, I'm there scanning old documents, because if it's a piece of paper that might die, but it's once it's scanned and on, you know what?
It's public to everybody. But that information is people that are deceased.
Yeah, it's all there on that.
So they don't care about if we spread their word.
Bottom end happen to still be. The people who actually made the family tree might some of them still be, but everyone else is. These are old church records from 1, 2, 3, 400 years. A lot of the oldest people I've seen were born in the 1600s.
Yes.
They're that far back, up till the people who made this tree. Maybe some of the youngest people might still be alive in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Well, you know what Maryville is. You know, so you can come there next Tuesday.
I'm working.
The best place to get records,
One Saturday a month, we're generally open.
the best place to get records for Europe is from churches, because they've been religiously keeping records, because they need to know who's part of the congregation from the 1100s. That's how far back I went in this Union Mansell book. Exactly. And yes,
Did you have any major roadblocks in your research? Did you reach any points where you're like, I just can't find this person, I can't find this name, I can't find this photo? And what did you do?
oh, I did have those roadblocks. And guess what? Fate would have it that somewhere down the road, I meet somebody, or I see a record, or I look at my family tree and I say, I've seen this name before. And then the family tree maker gives you all the names that are like in order. So, oh, this person here, I go to them. Oh my God, they're the same person on two different parts of my tree. So I connect them together. But people that I'm looking for, ones that I know existed, they always crop up. They're never missing. Just like my grandmother. I met a lady who lived one street over and told me everything about her, whereas nobody knew anything except for her. And I was happy. But these come up all the time. And I believe that they're going to continue to come up. And the more I'm out there, the more I'm with people, the more people I meet, the more connections I make. And it's just like magic. Sorry, I don't know how to explain it any other way. That's exactly how things turn out. And I'm happy for that. Like, who would know that some of these people are going to help me later on, or I'll help them.
On that same topic, like what was the part of this?
Of this whole journey,
What was the biggest roadblock, or maybe the biggest challenge, or the thing that if you
okay, or the biggest disappointment, or the one thing, and this may not go along with your question, but the one thing about this job is you meet a whole lot of nice people. The only problem is that they're older, and before you know it, they're gone. And then I feel bad. Like, I'm going to a funeral in Brighton the day before I go to New Brunswick, because that lady was someone who took me into her house, gave me the entire family of everybody that came over, people that we never knew existed, connected to the family back home. And even the people here in Leamington didn't know about them, but she wanted to tell her story. And I sat with her for days, and I loved her. She's a former teacher, but she was like me. She liked people. She liked to be with people. Some people may not say that about me, but
question.
sure.
You mentioned about the church records, like Europeans have to rely a lot on church records. It's true. How forthcoming are they with the records? When you show up and say, I need records, I need confirmation records for these people, are they willing to give it to you?
Yes, but here's the caveat. Any records that are existing, if they're more than 70 years old, they're up for grabs. If they're younger than 70 years old, basically they're protected. And for privacy laws and for anything like that. So if I find something that's older than 70, so it's difficult there. And that's where when I brought the huge piece of paper, put it in the church hall. Everybody came to look at it from the village. And then I started meeting people I never knew existed. And then they knew what I was trying to do now. And they said, oh my God, you've done something wonderful here. I said, yeah, but I don't have this from this time. Like, you guys have them in your records. Is there any way I could? I said, yeah, come on in tomorrow. And then they'd open up the books, and then the books had so much dust on them, and they were so thin. And when you open the page, you want to be careful it doesn't fall apart as you're flipping it over. I take a quick picture, and then I do it again for the next one. I take another quick picture. And that's with the permission of the priest, because I told him anything older than 70 years is really public information. And the living people. But everybody beyond 70 years is, I mean, some people are still living, but hey, we know who you are. It's the ones that have died. We can get the information from you, but we want the information we can't get. Because dead people don't talk.
You talk about people who have passed, 20, 30 years, I used to sit down with my tape recorder and talk to people. And I made up a little list of questions. I talked to all these people, and most of them are gone now, and I've got their words on my tape recorder.
Yes.
So I could type it out, type it out. And so I typed out our conversations from 20, 30 years ago.
Yep. I have gigabytes and gigabytes of voice, trans.
So
Yeah.
I tape recorded it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I use the phone, but yeah, tape recorders. They still have those with the reel and
You know, it was like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I was.
exactly.
It doesn't matter what I was.
No, I hear you. I hear you. No, we're the same. We record what we hear because otherwise we're going to forget.
Otherwise, you forget when the person's gone.
Yes, and more likely the person's gone, and that's the one thing that hurts me the most, because I got to know these people. They're like my father or mother or other people.
You know, a voice to voice.
Voice.
Yeah, like there are some people that might be ones that want a nice whoever has voicemail sees people to have that memory. Like, what a beautiful thing to have from 30 years.
I'm not recording on my grandma. Somebody did. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hearing your grandma talk. Almost what it is. She was talking about her honey. Yeah. He was kind of short. He's a really good running. Really running.
But that's the story that you hear all the time from everybody. It's the story that you hear from everybody. I had one person in New Hampshire. Before he died in 1986, the library took a conversation of him talking about his village and his journey here. And I was listening to it. I started to cry because a lot of the things, we sat on the floor. We didn't have much food. We didn't have a job, but we worked the land, and the land belonged to the patriarch because nobody could own land at that time. And then it was like my mother, she would work forever. And then she came here first, and she basically just sold her wares, went from place to place, carried this huge thing on her back, made a little bit of money here and there, and then she would send it back home. And then she would do it again, and then she would send for her family. And where was the husband? He died a long time ago. A lot of the husbands died young, but it's the other way around too. Back then, there was a lot of women that were going through childbirth.
Women died in childbirth, yes.
Exactly.
So a man might have three wives.
Exactly. And they would all be relatives.
Children from one, children from two, children from three.
And I can even tell you in Arabic, when the mother dies during childbirth, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to go talk to her sister. And can you, marry me and take care of the kids? Yeah, no problem. I'd love to take care of the kids. Or hey, find another person and they come into his life. And then before you know it, you've got all these multiple marriages. And I've got them on the tree. They're a headache for me. They get, it takes up width on the poster. And for me, I need to, that way, because there's a lot of people and I need to get them all on one poster. So thank you so much for coming. And if you have any questions, I'm always available. I really do want you to look at the posters I've been making. Peruse the book if you haven't seen it. And if you want to purchase a book today, I'm taking $20 off each book. The posters, I usually sell the posters for $100. That's not a lot of money. But if you've purchased my book before, then you get it for half price, $50. But if you haven't purchased a book before and you want to purchase a poster, then a bundle costs $109. So an $89 book and a $100 poster, put them together, but you get it for $109. And that's something I've been, offering to a lot of people everywhere, and people take me up on it. And even if you're not in my book and you want a poster, and I have some time, don't tell my wife, I'll make a poster for you. But you have to provide everything for me.
What about that dual thing kind of thing?
Oh, this thing.
Yeah, how much for that?
That's a lot of work because I spent a lot of time. To be honest, this cost, I charged him $490
What?
for 10 books.
For 10.
Yes, but the printing was the most expensive part. The other part I had fun with, and the granddaughter was feeding me all the information. I would just put it into the format and make the tree, pop the pictures in and get the information in. And then she would look it over and then let me know, okay, that's good. Let's move on to the next one. And that was done while I was doing 100 other things.
And so my family tree specifically,
Yep.
it only goes up to like 15 something. So I'm just curious, what is the oldest family tree goes back? Because some other families, like, do you have some other
In Lebanon?
records from Tourza? Do you have some, or I don't, not even just Tourza, not even Lebanon?
Oh yeah, I do.
What goes back? What is the earliest back it goes back? And second part of that question is, why did it stop at a certain point? Is it just lost records, or?
People never recorded anything.
Okay.
There wasn't a need to record until the church got more interested. Well, we need to know who is part of our congregation. We need to keep these people in our congregation. We need to keep accurate records because they had to be baptized. They had to be confirmed. They had to be go through all the sacraments. And that's what keeps us alive as a church. So they kept good records. And even the municipalities and the governments didn't have these good records. There was no need for them. The countries back then, in our area, there was no need to record. But in Europe, the churches went back a long way. They kept the records. And then the municipality got the records from them if they needed them. Does that make sense? And you were saying about the oldest tree I have?
Yeah.
One person from Georgia, I could be wrong, but it's somewhere down south, gave me a picture of a linen where it had a family tree on it, written in ink with leaves, and then the first name of each person that come from there. And it was from a place called Deir al-Ahmar. Deir al-Ahmar, Deir means a monastery or a house, and Ahmar means red. And that's the house of the monastery that turned all red when the massacre happened in 1860. So that's the end of the record of that tree. But that tree went all the way back to 1500. And it was brought over by this person's great-grandfather. And he sent me a picture of it, very clear. I translated, well, I didn't translate. I liked it but translated, but my cousin translated the whole thing. And I put it into a tree. And some of those families are here in Windsor. They came from Deir al-Ahmar.
So how long would it?
They were major developers in the city.
So from the start of your
It went-
project till now, I guess you never really stopped. How long did it take you to acquire all your information?
I'll be dead.
I'll be dead, eh?
Yes.
Because you're inspiring me to kind of do it for on my mother's side of the
For your family?
But the same problem is, like, it's kind of like the same issues. Like, they come from a country that doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, Lebanon still exists, but they came from like Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia and the Soviet Union and this and that, and nobody kept records and everything.
There especially, they didn't have good records.
So you're inspiring me.
But in Europe, they did. Oh, you keep at it. You'll get records. Don't worry, but don't wait too long. And do you know your grandfather? I gave you the one poster, but now I have a poster for your grandmother's side.
Really?
Yeah,
So,
I have it here. You're welcome to look at it. I'm all full of surprises today. Joy got one for her family,
Yes.
and I don't have one for your family yet.
Well, they're English, Irish, and Scottish.
Okay, well, I have Polish, German, and
Maybe.
French as well, Canadian.
Well, do you have a French Canadian postal?
Pardon?
French Canadian?
I don't have it here. It's at home, but it's for my son-in-law. So he's got French Canadian. In this book, there's a lot of French Canadian in here, from France and from Canada. So you're welcome to peruse through it, but no pictures, please.
where do you keep the e-song?
It's right here in one of these.
Okay.
It's not on the back of this. Yep, right here.
I think after today, I'm gonna finally get serious about my poster.
Are you sure?